Bob Kull is one of our associate faculty here at Royal Roads, and Bob is the Kelly Award winner for 2013. I worked with Bob as his instructional designer on the Worldviews and Ethics course. He's doing a major redesign on the course, and we've had a really, really great working relationship around the course. So I thought it would be interesting to other faculty to kind of talk a little bit about our relationship as instructional designer and faculty, to tease out what worked and how working with an instructional designer would help you with your course.
I requested Deanne specifically because she was a student in the course, the systems thinking course I taught for a number of years. And I'd heard about her from other people, and so I specifically requested her because I'd heard she was very creative and very interactive and full of great suggestions. So this is the first time I've designed an online course from scratch, and I knew that I was going to need serious help in the process. And it's just been brilliant. Deanne has been an incredible partner in this process, and the website wouldn't be anywhere near as good, as creative, as user-friendly to the students as if I had done it by myself. And we didn't always agree on everything, and we talked it out. Sometimes I said, okay, yeah, whatever you think on that one, and often Deanne would say, whatever you think on that one. So in working with a designer, it's really important that both people are flexible and have open minds and hearts and are willing to be honest with each other and patient. Deanne showed huge patience because I'd lose track of what was going on. I have a horrible memory. So, and I think that, you know, I happened to be working with Deanne because I knew her personally, but I think all of the designers are great to work with, but it's really important for instructors to enter that relationship with an open mind and recognize, well, maybe I've been teaching for many years, but that doesn't mean that I can't learn a lot, and that the website and the course won't be improved by working with an instructional designer. We got to get our egos out of the way and say what we're about here is trying to make the website and the course as good as possible, not to make myself as the instructor feel good because I did it all alone.
Thank you, Bob. That was amazing. What was great for me as an instructional designer working with Bob is the approach he brought to the table in our working relationship. Bob basically came to the table very wide open. Bob is a subject matter expert, and he really, really wanted to make this a pivotal course for students, so that after a student takes this course, they can identify their worldview, they can recognize the worldview of others, they recognize that there's not one right worldview, things like that. And he brought a very wide open, kind of a brainstorm attitude to all of our conversations around how to make these activities as applied as possible. Because a worldview is kind of, what's the word I'm looking for?
I don't know. It's whatever it is.
Yeah. Yeah. A worldview is not something.
It's kind of everything.
Yeah, it's not something you can weigh and measure. You can't put it on a spreadsheet. And so our challenge was taking these ideas and applying them so that students could use these ideas in their everyday life as people, you know, in their career, with their friends and family, with people they meet. And so it was fantastic, our back and forth, as we discussed through how to go from the big theoretical ideas to actually applying them in people's lives. And I really appreciated Bob's willingness to explore. In fact, at one point we even talked about using a theme of a detective or an explorer trying to, you know, find the worldview in this situation. I think an explorer really captures our exploration of the topic, how to make the activities as interesting as possible to students. We bandied back and forth ideas for different types of learning activities that could be done online with different technologies that are out there.
Right.
It was a real pleasure working with Bob because he was so open and so exploratory and so open to brainstorming.
The other thing that was very cool, and I hadn't thought about this until right now, and this is what's cool about our conversations, is in our conversations, I think of stuff.
Right.
You know, stuff arises
Yes.
through the conversation. And so in working with an instructional design person, I strongly encourage instructors to have Skype conversations.
Yes.
You know, have face-to-face conversations and allow a significant chunk of time. Don't schedule them for 15 or 20 minutes and think, I'm just going to take care of business. Allow space for a conversation to develop. So what's just come up for me is that different minds work really differently, and your mind and my mind, we work differently. So when I was thinking about designing this course, I'm thinking about my lived experience, my views through all the readings I've done over many years, and there's just this not amorphous, but very fluid view of what worldviews are and how ethics plays into all of this. And I'm going, I don't have a clue how to turn this into a 9-week course. I just don't know. I felt totally just mind splattered, mind boggled at the idea of doing this. And we had this really cool conversation. It went on for a couple of hours. Amazingly, I came out of that conversation going, that was a really interesting conversation. I still don't have a clue of how to do this course. Astonishingly, you were taking notes, right?
Yeah.
You were keeping notes. I was just talking and thinking and imagining. You were writing stuff down. And you told me, oh, I've taken notes and I'll send them to you. And a couple of days later, I received this incredible point-by-point notes of what our conversation had been about. And I looked at this and I went, holy shit, there's the course. These point-by-point of the notes of the conversation that to me had been a fascinating conversation of what I wanted to explore in the course, had in turn, you know, the way you had laid it out, I thought, this is the course. Week 1, week 2, module, it was just brilliant. And so that's an example of how working with somebody else that comes at the situation from a different perspective can be hugely valuable.
You bring your lens as a subject matter expert and as an experienced teacher. I bring a lens from an instructional design point of view. And because I have been a student, a graduate student, I also know what students are looking for in their courses. And so the instructional designers that work at CTET have myriad experience, and they come from different backgrounds. Some are trained with an instructional design master's degree. Some have been students. Some are teachers. You know, it's this really amazing group of people who all have a lot to add to any course. And so I really recommend that you take the time, and when you do get to work with an instructional designer, look at it as an opportunity to explore new ways of getting your course content over to students so that students can do a deep dive into it, apply it whenever possible in their lives, and use your instructional designer and the team at CTET, which includes interactive media developers and media services. It's this really fantastic team, and use them as much as you can because they're only going to help you make your course extraordinary.
Right. You know, from my perspective, when we've talked about this of varying up the kinds of exercises so it's not all just written work, including podcasts of yourself, you know, like talking about your subject matter. I include a audio video podcast every week, even if it's just short, just to say hi to the students so I become a real person. I always am ready to experiment. So this year I'm trying these 2-hour conference calls with each team each week to try to bring in more face-to-face engagement. So it's not just written text. So there's just lots of experimenting that can be done, and the people at CTET can help in letting instructors know what's available, what are the possibilities to add creativity to the process. So that's an important facet too.
So how can we take your creativity and your special way of being with the students and put that into your course so that they actually feel that even if it's an online course, they get you and they feel like they know who you are and that they have felt your influence.
Yeah. And I think the bottom line to it all is to not treat the designer at CTET as a servant or an employee, but rather as a partner. You know, I think that's kind of at the heart of the matter, is this person you're working with is your partner, that together you're creating this course. Not that as the instructor I'm creating this course and you're my kind of minion, that you do what I tell you to do. I think that
doesn't go over well.
Well, it's just, it's no fun.
Right.
You know, it's just no fun.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Thank you, Bob.
My pleasure.
Yeah.